Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and today, in celebration of the new expansion, the Grand Tournament, we are going to look at all of the neutral cards that have come out in that expansion. We have gone in a series through the Druid, and Hunter, and Mage, and Paladin, and Priest, and Rogue, and Shaman, and Warlock, and Warrior, and now we're down. We finally made it. We're going to look at just the neutral cards, where the majority, I would suspect, of the Grand Tournament cards are. I think there's going to be probably more than the 7 you got for each class, or thereabout 7. So, as always, to filter out, we click here and click Grand Tournament to only see Grand Tournament cards. We click Grafting Mode so we see cards that we don't have. And we click Include Soulbound just in case there are some Soulbound cards, which there shouldn't be. Now, there's going to be considerably more, so this episode compared to the other is going to go longer. Uh, you can already kind of see that there's 4 1 mana creatures right here to start with. So we'll try to go at a brisk pace as we look at each card. First one is a 1 mana, 1 attack, 2 health creature called the Gadget Zan Jouster. It has a battle cry. It reveals a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, gain +1/+1. That is the Joust ability again, although I don't know. We haven't seen them actually use the phrase Joust at all. So the concept's there, but they're just not calling it Joust. I don't know why. I think they'll probably reword a lot of these cards in a few months, so it does just say Joust to make things simpler, because you can't really just fill a card with more and more text. Me in particular, that's going to be a problem because I sit pretty far away from my screen and it gets hard to read small text. Next card we have is the 1 mana, 2 attack, 4 health creature called the Injure Cavaldi. It has a battle cry to deal 3 damage to this minion. You might play this in a priest deck where you could heal it, but otherwise I'm not sure I'd really want to play this. It is effectively a 1 mana 2/1 creature, which is still a pretty good creature, but not great. I'd put this in a priest deck before I put it in any other deck. Uh, was this a good card? Yeah, this is a good card. I didn't bother to mention whether it was a good card because a 1 for a 1/2 is fine, and then with a chance of it being a 2/3, it would be great. The next card we have is the 1 mana, 1 attack, 2 health creature called the Lowly Squire. Uh, I think it's a pretty good card with its Inspire ability here. It gains +1 attack. So any class where you're going to use your hero ability a lot would be good. So if you put this like in the mage deck, every time you use your fire blast ability to do 1 damage to something, this would get 1 more powerful. Uh, there's a multi-card combination here where you could get this really powerful and accomplish a lot of other things at the same time. So if you're going to use your hero ability, start looking for these neutral cards with Inspire. This is pretty good for that kind of deck. Next one we have is the 2 mana, 2 attack, 4 health, Argent Watchman. It can't attack uh, with a interesting Inspire ability that if you inspire it, it can attack as normal this turn. So you summon this out on your second turn, and it wouldn't be able to attack on the second turn. It wouldn't be able to attack on. It would, however, be able to attack on the third turn if you used your hero ability. Hmm. Or you could summon this on the 4th turn, use your hero ability, and then uh, it would be able to attack. But then it would still have to wait its first turn because it doesn't have charge. So this thing practically has to wait at least one turn before it can attack. I'm not sure I'd play this card. I don't think when you really start thinking about all the scenarios it could do, that it would survive 2 turns with 4 health. Uh, Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. But I think you're gonna find you have better cards than this one. So that one's not one I'm thinking about. I have a gold version of this, so as my policy, I disenchant gold ones, even though I have less than 2, to get that sweet dust, so I can make some other cards at some point. Now, when I disenchant a gold card like that, I'm not sure I can ever come back and recreate it. But I'm not too worried about that. I'd rather have the dust. Next card is a 2 mana, 3 attack, 2 health creature called the Bone Guard Lieutenant. It has an Inspire ability of +1 health. Well, what I'm seeing here, it's probably a good card, but it's not a great card, I don't think. Because with 2 health, it could probably get killed on a 2nd or 3rd turn before you could get its health up anymore. Uh, so I think you could probably do a little bit better than this. But if it didn't have this Inspire ability, and you were playing a 2 mana creature that had 3 attack and 2 health just by default, replace that creature with this creature so that you at least have the chance of gaining some health. And I'm sure there is a standard neutral creature that is just a 2 mana for 3 attack and 2 health. Next card we have is a 2 mana, 2 attack, 3 health creature called Flame Juggler. It has a battle cry to deal 1 damage to a random enemy. Alright, I mean, I think this is a good card. Not doing anything particularly special, but yeah, you summon it, it does 1 random damage to an enemy. If you're playing one of the cards that just does random damage, like Mad Bomber or Matter Bomber, if you're playing one of those cards, you might think about replacing it with something like this, so at least it targets an enemy instead of just randomly targeting potentially your own guys or your own hero. Next card we have is a 2 mana, 2 attack, 3 health creature called the Garrison Commander. You can use your hero power twice a turn. Interesting that it's a neutral card. That makes it very balanced. That if you are going to build a deck with a lot of creatures that have Inspire, or that increase what your hero power does, this would definitely be a card you would want in that deck. But if you're not going to build a deck that does that, there's probably a better card that you could play that would be 2 attack and 3 health that would do something else for 2 mana. On to the second page. Next card we have is a 2 mana, 1 attack, 1 health creature called the Lance Carrier. He has a battle cry to give a friendly minion +2 attack. I'd have to think about this one a little bit. Play with it, see how effective it is on average. In general, it seems like a good card. It's a little underpowered. I'd prefer a 2 attack, 2 health for 2 mana, but it does give +2 attack to a friendly minion. Now, I don't believe whenever you have this ability to do a friendly minion that you can select yourself. I think you have to select some other minion. So you couldn't just on the second turn summon this, give yourself +2 attack, and then it be a 32. Unfortunately, I don't believe that's allowed. Maybe it is. I'll have to wait and see how people play it. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 2 attack, 1 health. It has charge and divine shield. While it is a little pricey, this Argent Horse Rider here, but it's a pretty good deal, I think. You summon this, it has charge, it has divine shield, it could kill a lot of things on the third turn just by using its divine shield and attacking it. Then on the next turn, you could hit the face and do at least 2 damage before this thing gets killed. It's kind of a temporary creature that will get killed, but then most of your minions get killed a couple turns after they've been summoned, unfortunately. Next card we have is the 3 mana, 2 attack, 5 health creature called the Colosseum Manager. He has the Inspire ability to return this minion to your hand. Interesting. I'm not sure I would have many scenarios where I could play this. The point here, obviously, is that because he has 5 health, you would set him out and hope people would attack him down to like 1 health, and then you use your hero ability to then return him to your hand and you summon him back out. The problem is he doesn't really have taunt and he doesn't really have that high of an attack. So I think I'd have to pass on this card. There's no real reason why people would target this guy, particularly when you see that they can when they figure out he can just go back to your hand. Next card is the 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 health card called the Dragonhawk Rider. It has the Inspire ability to gain Wind Fury this turn. So I think this is a great card. You play this on your 3rd turn. On your 4th turn, it would have Wind Fury and do 6 damage. I don't see anything wrong with this card. Definitely a card you would want to consider versus other 3 mana cards that might be in your deck right now. Next card we have is the 3 mana, 3 attack, 4 health creature, Idis Darkbane. It has the ability whenever you, so the player, me, target this minion with a spell. So only when on my turn, well, only when I target this minion with a spell, which is almost certainly going to be on my turn, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Well, I could definitely see this card being in your deck, particularly if you're playing a deck where you have a lot of spell cards that give increases to health, increases to attack. You could see if you were doing a deck like that, this legendary card, you could get it some extra health, get it some extra attack, make it really powerful, all while dealing 3 damage to random enemies. So I definitely would play this. It's hard to say no to a legendary card. They're almost all great. But this is a low mana legendary card and it isn't that spectacular. And as they add more and more low mana legendary cards, that means that any card that says summon a random legendary card is getting balanced more and more towards the low mana creatures instead of the high mana legendaries. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 2 attack, 2 health creature called the Fencing Coach. He has a battle cry that the next time you use your hero power, it costs 2 less. Now, if you are making a deck that is full of creatures with Inspire, and you have one of the few cards that lets you play your hero ability as many times as you want, this could be very powerful. Very, very powerful. Fortunately, they phrased this right, so only the next time you use your hero ability will it cost 2 less. So if you could do it 5 times on one turn, first time you do it, it would cost nothing. Second time it would uh, cost 2 again, or whatever it was costing. Hmm. They might as well have said on this that next time you use your hero power, it's free, but they phrased it this way, showing that at some point they indicate there will be cards that cause your hero ability to cost more. So that will be the other side of the coin when that happens. Next card we have is the 3 mana, 3 attack, 4 health creature called the Fiola Lightbane. And I like this art. Uh, Whenever you target this minion with a spell, gain Divine Shield. Well, that eliminates using Divine Shield spells on this card, but it gives her everything else. I can see a deck growing here where you could make cards like this that gain something whenever you target it with a spell. A mage deck perhaps, a warrior deck, uh, even a priest deck. Next one we have is a 3 mana, 5/2. It does nothing special. It's called the Ice Rager. Hmm. So, for a lot of these other 3 mana cards we've looked at, you kind of have to wonder, wouldn't it just be better to have a 5/2? Uh, that is something to definitely consider. A lot of times when you get these neutral cards that don't have any special ability, there'll be 1 attack higher, there'll be 1 health higher, and maybe that's all you really need in your deck. Maybe that will be more balanced and require less multi-card strategies so that you don't have to draw 5 cards in the right order to pull off the trick you're trying to achieve. Maybe, maybe not. In general, I think in Hearthstone, going with cards that have nothing aren't the best move, but every now and then it is. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 4 attack, 3 health creature called Light's Champion. It has a battle cry to silence a demon. I don't think I'd ever play this card. If it could silence a minion, I would play it. But to silence a demon means you would have to be playing against the Warlock. If you're playing against any of the other 8 classes, you're not going to run into any demons. Demons are almost universally only Warlock cards. So I don't see a point in this card. Next one we have is the 3 mana, 4 attack, 2 health, Master of Ceremonies, and I like this art too. I wish we could zoom in on the art. I wish you could right click on the art or do something and just have maybe the entire edge, have it zoom into a large picture. That would be nice. Uh, it it has a battle cry. If you have a minion with spell damage, gain +2/+2. Definitely would want that in a mage deck. Then it would be a 6/2 for 3. Very powerful. This is a great card. And it goes by MC Elfie Elf because it's the Master of Ceremonies like a DJ. That's funny, somewhat. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 4 attack, 3 health creature called Saboteur. He has a battle cry. Your opponent's hero power costs 5 or 5 more next turn. Wow. I'm not sure I'd really play this card, but to make your opponent basically not use their hero power at all next turn could be useful. But I don't think it would be. Hero powers, even with all the cards we've seen, still haven't become so overpowered that you need a card to counteract them being overpowered. So it's an interesting concept. It's the first card we've seen that's made a hero power cost more, but I wouldn't have it in my deck. Next card we have is a 3 mana, 2 attack, 2 health creature called the Silent Knight. Knight. Silent Knight with a K. Uh, and he has Stealth and Divine Shield, which is an interesting combination because I haven't seen any other cards that I can think of at least that have both Divine Shield and Stealth. That's two defensive things to stop it uh, from getting killed on the first turn. Of course, you lose Stealth as soon as you attack, but you still keep your Divine Shield. Here it says he used to be a librarian, old habits die hard. I don't really get the joke they're trying to make there. The next card we have is the 3 mana, 3 attack, 3 health creature, Silver Hand Regent. It has an Inspire ability to summon a 1/1 Silver Hand Recruit. Why this isn't a Paladin specific card, I don't know, but it's kind of cool that it isn't. So you could play any character and just summon Silverhand Recruits, which is good because there are some other neutral cards, I believe, that also deal with Silverhand Recruits in particular. But in general, I'd only have this in a Paladin deck, and I would have it in a Paladin deck. That's a good card. Next one we have is the 4 mana, 5 attack, 3 health, Armored Warhorse. It has a battle cry, reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, gain charge. So it is the Joust ability again, even though they don't use the phrase Joust for some reason. It's also a beast, so you might want to put it in a Hunter deck, just because it's a beast. And I think this is a good card. I would definitely want to put this in any decks that I want to have beasts in, or just any decks where you want to have a good chance of having charge and 5 attack and live with only 3 health. Next card we have is a 4 mana, 4 attack, 4 health creature called the Crowd Favorite. Without the, there's no the, it just says Crowd Favorite. Whenever you play a card with Battle Cry, gain +1/+1. You could certainly make a deck surrounded around Battle Cry and get this guy really powered up. I'm not sure if there's enough of a coherent strategy to do that, but just in general, this is a good card. I would definitely have it in my deck. It's a good 4 mana card, regardless of whether you can power it up or not. Next card is the 4 mana, 5 attack, 4 health creature called the Evil Heckler. And one thing I've noticed about the Evil Heckler is he has at least 2 summon battle cries, where most creatures I think only have 1. He'll heckle your opponent in at least 2 different ways, so he isn't too annoying. He's a good card anyways, because he has taunt and 4 health and 5 attack. If he was only 4 attack and 4 health and taunt, he'd still be a good card. So definitely something I would consider in my deck. Next card is the 4 mana, 2 attack, 6 health, Frigid Snowbolt. It has spell damage +1. So if you were playing a mage or any other deck where you want a lot of spell damage, this would definitely be a consideration. It's actually a little weak because if you took 2 here, well, no, it's right on target. Because if you took 2 health here and put it with these 2, it would then be a 4 attack, 4 health for 4. So nothing wrong with this card. Great card. Put it in any deck that you're going to be doing spell damage. Next we have is the 4 mana, 4 attack, 4 health creature, Gormok the Impaler. He has a battle cry. If you have at least 4 other minions, deal 4 damage. Uh, no, I don't think so. It's a legendary card, but you'd have to be in a very weird situation where somewhere anywhere near your 4th turn you had 4 other minions and this was your 5th. On your 4th turn, that doesn't even make sense. I don't think this is a good card. I don't see why you'd ever want to play it. Now, oddly enough, I have the gold version of this and not the regular, so not only am I going to disenchant it, but I'm going to nearly double the amount of dust I have because it is a gold legendary. So effectively this is the most dust you can get, I believe, is 1600. Disenchant. Interesting, it didn't warn me the second time when I clicked cancel. That's probably a bug. Now if I wanted to create it, it would cost me 1600 anyways. So I could just take that 1600 and recreate it in neutral colors, but I see no reason why I would want to do that. It's not a card I want to play. Next one we have is the 4 mana, 2 attack, 6 health, Maiden of the Lake. Your hero power costs 1. It doesn't make it cost 1 less, because you could have 2 of these in your deck and then you would be using your hero power for free, and they can't have that. At least they have yet to make a card to allow that. If you're going to have a deck where you use your hero power a lot, definitely would have this card in my deck. Otherwise, no. It's not really that useful otherwise. Next card we have is a 4 mana, 3 attack, 5 health creature called the Refreshment Vendor. It has a battle cry to restore 4 health to each hero. Interestingly enough, this guy, when you summon him, says hotcakes, get your hotcakes, or something like that, and then it throws a animated carrot at both of your characters. So either this guy doesn't know the difference between a carrot and a hotcake, or he can make hotcakes that look like carrots, or the animation team screwed up, or was just being silly. Would I play this card? Probably I would if I had nothing better, if I had it, because on your 4th turn it's very likely you haven't done much damage or any damage to the head. So for your 4th turn you get a 3/5, and maybe you heal yourself and not really heal the other player because he's already at his maximum 30 health. Next card we have is a 4 mana, 1 attack, 8 health creature called the Tournament Medic. It has the Inspire ability to restore 2 health to your hero. So absolutely on my priest deck, I would absolutely have this card. This is a great card. Now, if you took 4 of these and put them over here, you would have a 5/4 attack, which makes it a good card even based on 4 mana for 5 attack and 4 health. So that balances out rather nicely. This is a great card. I wouldn't put it in decks where I probably wouldn't put it in anything besides a priest deck, but maybe I would. Like, if you put this in a warlock deck, every time you drew your card, you would get 2 health back. So that means for 2 mana, you would draw a card, take 2 damage, this would get inspired, and heal 2 damage. So I could see putting this in a warlock deck too. I could see putting it in practically any deck. It would be somewhat helpful. Some more than others. Next we have is the 4 mana, 2 attack, 6 health dragon, the Twilight Guardian. Battle cry: if you're holding a dragon, gain +1 attack and taunt. What's interesting about these if you're holding a dragon battle cries, which were introduced in Blackrock Mountain, is that that was the first time cards would say, if you have something in your hand, you gain an ability. Now, the only way you can do that in the real world to prove that you actually have a dragon in your hand would be to show the card to the opponent, and thus your opponent would know that that was true. Fortunately, since Hearthstone is just a computer game that can know whether you're telling the truth or not and doesn't allow you to lie at, in the game, you don't have to show the card, and thus you get a much bigger advantage of maintaining the secrecy about what kind of dragon's in your hand while getting the plus attack and taunt. Next card we have is the 5 mana, 5 attack, 5 health mech creature, the Clockwork Knight. Mechs were introduced in Goblins vs. Gnomes, and we haven't seen, I don't think I've seen any other mechs in the Grand Tournament. We got a lot of them in Goblins vs. Gnomes, so it's not a huge surprise that they're not heavily expanded upon in this expansion. It has a battle cry to give a friendly mech +1/+1. If you're going to play a mech deck, which we're starting to get enough mechs now that you could play a mech deck, I feel like I'm rhyming and I'm sorry about that. Uh, I would definitely have this in my deck. Next card before I rhyme anymore is the 5 mana, 4 attack, 4 health creature, the Cavaldi Raider. It has an Inspire ability of gaining +2/+2. It's a pretty good card, but you kind of need to play it on your 7th turn. You could play it on your 5th turn and then on your 6th turn get it to a 6/6. It's a little underpowered, but to be a little underpowered and on the first time you use your hero ability become overpowered by a little bit, I think that's a decent card. There is some randomness in that because you have to inspire before you get it to be a good card that might knock this out of contention when you have other better cards. Next card we have is the 5 mana, 4 attack, 3 health creature, Mukala's Champion. It has the Inspire ability to give your other minions +1/+1, and it's a beast. Definitely could see this being in my deck. It is underpowered. It uh, takes about, it would take 2 inspirations before it was up to the level I would like it to be for its attack and health. But it is a beast, so if you were playing like a hunter and you wanted to have beasts, and if you were playing any deck where you were going to have a lot of minions, like a Murloc deck, for example, if you have 6 other Murlocs on your field and you play and you inspire this guy, you could definitely power up those Murlocs and give them a significant boost. So it's something that I would play with. Wish it was probably a 4/4. Ideally, I'd want it to be a 5/5. Next card is the 5 mana, 4 attack, 5 health creature called the Nexus Champion Sarad. It has the Inspire ability to add a random spell to your hand. I think we probably could do better than this card, but if you're playing a mage deck and you just need more spells, I could see having it. It's not terrible, it's just a little low on its attack of what I'd want it to be, but just getting random spells in general is not something you want. You don't want randomness in a deck, you want consistency so you know what's going to happen. Next card we have is a 5 mana, 5 attack, 6 health creature called the Pit Fighter. Nothing special, it's just a minion, no abilities. For that, I would play it fine. It's a good card. For the cost of 5, it does 5 attack and has 6 health. That beats my requirements. Next card we have is the 5 mana, 5 attack, 4 health creature called the Recruiter. Every time it's inspired, it adds a 2/2 Squire to your hand. So there is the Silver Knight Squires that are 1/1s, and then there's a 2/2 Squire too. So it sometimes confuses me about, is this going to do a 1/1 Squire or a 2/2 Squire? Next card we have is the 6 mana, 3 attack, 9 health creature called Bolf Ram Shield. Whenever your hero takes damage, this minion takes it instead. That's an interesting new concept. So they don't even have to target your guy, and he will take the damage instead. So effectively you have 9 armor for the cost of a 6 mana creature that can do 3 damage if it survives. Definitely a good card. I'd play it. I'd have it in my deck. It's a real late game card, so I might eventually knock it out of my deck, but if I had it, if I could play it, I'd consider it. Next we have is the 6 mana, 5 attack, 5 health creature called the Grand Crusader. It has a battle cry added to add a random paladin card to your hand. Which is weird because that's not going to really help you if you're not a paladin. Are they going to have a whole series of cards that give you random cards from other classes? That would be cool. That might make some really weird combinations and have some unintended consequences. Uh, Add a random paladin card. Now, when it says random paladin card, I'm assuming what they mean is any paladin card that of that class, not just cards that have paladin in their name. Oh, I lost my place. That's alright. We're back to it. It's an interesting thought. I would definitely think about it. If I'm playing a paladin deck, it would be worth it because that's effectively 1 mana to draw a card, which is pretty low. Uh, Next card we have is a 6 mana, 6 attack, 3 health creature called the Justicar Trueheart. Is Justicar a term for some kind of knight? Uh, this one you almost certainly would want to play because it has this very unique battle cry to replace your starting hero power with a better one. So what that means is if you, for instance, do 1 damage with the mage by default for Fire Blast, you summon this, you start doing 2 damage. I think the Warlock draws 2 cards instead of 1, or it draws 1 card and it only does 1 damage to your face, or it doesn't do any damage to your face. I saw every single hero power once it's upgraded, and it's definitely something you would consider if you're going to use your hero power more than once or twice. A lot of times, though, I don't play hero power at all because you usually can summon a creature better than that. But that's definitely one to keep your eye on. Next card we have is the 6 mana, 3 attack, 5 health card called the Kodo Rider. It has the Inspire ability to summon a 3/5 War Kodo every time you use your ability. Definitely would put this in a any Inspire style deck I was going to build. It is a little low because it's effectively a 4/4 for 6 mana, so it's 2 more. It's costing 2 more than it should. But if you played this on your 6th turn, it survived to the 7th, then you'd have another one. And as long as you keep it alive, you can get more and more. Now, I don't believe the War Kodos have any special writing or anything, so it's not like you would be summoning this on your 7th turn, and then on your 8th turn you'd have 4 3/5 creatures. Now you'll just have 3. Moving on. Next card we have is the 6 mana, 5 attack, 5 health creature, the Master Jouster. It has the Joust function again. Battlecry, reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, gain Taunt and Divine Shield. Definitely worth it if you've got nothing better for 6 mana. It's a pretty good chance you're going to end up with Taunt and Divine Shield. Otherwise, it's still just a 5/6 for 6, so it's only 1 mana higher than I think it probably should be. So I definitely have that in the deck. Next card we have is the 6 mana, 8 attack, 5 health creature called Mogar's Champion. It has the 50% chance to attack the wrong enemy uh, ability, if you want to call that an ability. I really don't have a problem with this though, because almost always you're going to attack everything, so if you hit the wrong thing it doesn't really usually matter that much. I definitely would consider putting this in my deck, uh, just because it's so overpowered. It's pretty good. Next one we have is the 6 mana, 6 attack, 5 health creature, the Sideshow Spell Eater. It has a battle cry to copy your opponent's hero power. Well, it's a little low on health, and you never know who your opponent is. So I would say no to this. I'd consider it, but almost certainly find something better than this card, because you just don't know. If you're playing against a Warlock, drawing another card and doing 2 damage to yourself probably isn't something that you would want. Next card we have is the 6 mana, 7 attack, 4 health creature called the Skeleton Knight. It has a Death Knight to a Death Rattle. Reveal a minion in each deck. If yours costs more, return this back to your hand. So I think this is the only time I've seen where it does the Joust concept, but it does it as a Death Rattle instead of a Battle Cry. All the other ones have been Battle Cries, and maybe that's why they didn't introduce the concept of Joust like this, because they would potentially have to phrase it Death Rattle, Joust, return this to your hand. And then people would be like, what do they mean Death Rattle, Joust, does that mean either or? I could see some arguments getting started there. But I think they probably still will figure out a way to fix it. They could say Death Rattle Joust, or Death Rattle or Battle Cry Joust. Next card is a 7 mana, 5 attack, 9 health. I certainly would play this, particularly if I wanted beasts. It's called the Captured Yoremonger, and yeah, for that price, it's a little low on attack, but it is high in the same amount on health. So this is definitely something I would consider if I want a beast deck or just need something strong as a 7 mana. I don't know if I said I would play this or not. I guess I would play it because it's alright. It's a little underpowered, but I'd consider it. Next we have the 7 mana, 6 attack, 6 health dragon called Chillmaw. It has Taunt and a Death Rattle. If you're holding the dragon, deal 3 damage to all minions, including your own. Interesting. Is this a card I'd want to play? If I was doing a dragon deck, I would almost certainly put this in my dragon deck, just because there aren't enough dragon cards if no other reason. Dealing 3 damage to all the other creatures, including myself, my own minions, is not probably something I would want, but it would be fine because that would mean something would have had to kill this 6 health creature. So I think this is a moderately good legendary. It's a little expensive, but it does have taunt, and it does have something that might potentially be useful in some situations. Next one we have is the 7 mana, 4 attack, 6 health pirate called Sky Captain Crag. It has charge, which it's funny that they misspelled it. Uh, and it costs 1 less for each friendly pirate. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try to build a pirate deck for my rogue when we start doing rebuilds, and I definitely will have this in my deck. If you just had 2 friendly pirates, it would only cost 5 mana and be a 5/5 creature, and then it would definitely be worth it. Next one we have is the 9 mana, 10 attack, 10 health creature called Ice Howl. It has charge. It doesn't use multiple R's because it's not a pirate, but it can't attack heroes. So while this is a decent card, there's a good chance I wouldn't play it because I would need something like the owl to silence it so it could attack the hero and do some damage. A 10 attack creature that can't do any damage isn't that useful. I'd need to use some card to either silence it or some card to give it taunt so it would be a protector. But on its own, playing this on the 9th turn, not super useful. It might turn a few games around, but if you've made it to the 9th turn and you have to kill something with 10 health, with a 10 attack, you've probably already lost. So, no, I don't think I'd play that one. And I'm glad we are close to the end here because this is doing my throat a lot of disservice, all the talking I've done today. We have 2 left. Next one is the 9 mana, 9 attack, 7 health creature called the North Sea Kraken. It has a battle cry to do 4 damage, which I think this is the only card I've ever seen that has a battle cry that does 4 damage. Let's see. Well, it is a little low on health, but I would definitely consider it because it does do 4 damage, and that might be the difference between a victory or a loss. So there's nothing really wrong with it other than it's just a little low on health. And finally, the last card, we have the 10 mana, 8 attack, 8 health, Frost Giant. It costs 1 less each time you use your hero power this game. So effectively, if you've used your hero power 10 times, this would be free. If you start running the numbers, I think you probably could only summon this somewhere around your 5th turn though, at the earliest, because you would have had to been able to use your hero power 5 times before your 5th turn to get this down to a 5 to summon it, and that's pretty unlikely a scenario. And so not really great for its ability, but it's fine for everything else. And that's all the neutral cards. So I'm gonna take a bit of a break. I put out all the other videos, so I'll come back in maybe an hour or 2, and after I've rested my voice, and I will put out a video for uh, each of these characters, in which we build new decks and use some of this dust almost certainly to craft new cards and see what we can do with goblins versus gnomes. Uh, at the latest, the next episode will come out sometime tomorrow if it doesn't come out today. Almost certainly going to come out today. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you for going through this. Check out the rest of the series of all the new cards and Goblins vs. Gnomes and everything else I build. I have a Hearthstone series where I actually play Hearthstone that you can follow every day. Right now, the episodes will be pre-recorded before this. Eventually, you'll start seeing me play with the new decks I built. Uh, I have a lot of other series. If you click on my playlist tab and see all of those, you can get to my playlist tab through my main YouTube page, which you can get to by clicking on my name. Uh, Also on my main YouTube page on the right is a blue button that says support this channel. I would greatly appreciate if you click that and make a donation. I always end my episodes the same way. I ask you to like this video. I ask you to share it with your friends. I ask you to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe. A lot more videos are going to come out for the Grand Tournament. And I have a lot of other games and series that are coming out too. I put out new videos every Monday through Friday. Usually about 5 new videos of 5 different series. So it's quite a lot. You don't have to watch it all, but try to watch as much as you can. Comment down below if you want to, and watch every second of my videos that you do start, because that helps me with YouTube, tells them that my videos are good. Also, if you'd be so kind as to friend and follow me on all the social media sites that I have links down in the description for, that helps me with those sites, and it helps you see when new videos are out. That's it. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.